There's something happening on long flights right now that most travelers over 60 have no idea about. It's not dangerous, it's not scary, but it's costing seniors their comfort, their energy, and sometimes their entire first day of vacation, and almost nobody is talking about it. A few small things have changed in the way modern flights work. The cabins, the seats, the meals, even the water. And some of the habits that worked for you 20 years ago, they're quietly working against you now without you ever realizing it. Today, I'm sharing 12 in-flight mistakes seniors wish they'd known sooner. Number 7 is one almost every passenger gets wrong. And number 1, you'll want to hear that one before your next flight. Number 12, trusting the cabin air. Here's something most travelers never think about. The air inside an aircraft cabin is drier than the Sahara Desert. Humidity sits between 10% and 20%. The Sahara runs at 25%. You're flying inside a moving desert for hours at a time, and your body has no idea. For most passengers, that means a slightly scratchy throat. For seniors, it means thicker blood, dry sinuses, and a respiratory tract that can't filter the way it usually does. That's why so many older travelers come home with a cold they can't explain. Picture Marcus, 68, a retired electrician from Cleveland. He boards a 5-hour flight to visit his daughter in Phoenix. 1 coffee, no water. He lands feeling a little off, and by day 2 of the visit, he's flat in bed with bronchitis. 2 weeks of antibiotics. Trip lost. Your defense, drink 8 ounces of water every hour you're in the air. Skip coffee, alcohol, and tomato juice. All 3 dry you out faster. Use a small saline nasal spray every 2 hours. That one's about your comfort. The next one is about something seniors do without realizing it changes everything. Number 11, staying in your seat the whole flight. Most seniors stay seated because they don't want to disturb the person next to them. That kind of politeness is exactly what airlines are quietly counting on. When you sit still for more than 4 hours, blood pools in the deep veins of your legs. Your calf muscles are what pump that blood back up, and without movement, the blood gets sluggish. For travelers over 60, this is the single most overlooked piece of in-flight wellness, and it's the easiest one to fix. Picture this. You're on a 9-hour flight. The window seat passenger is asleep. You don't want to wake them. You hold still. You don't get up once. You land tired, achy, and unsteady, and you blame the trip. Your defense, stand up and walk the aisle every 60 to 90 minutes. A phone alarm helps. Do gentle calf raises in your seat every 30 minutes. Wear graduated compression socks rated 15 to 20 millimeters of mercury from takeoff to landing. Book the aisle seat on any flight over 4 hours. No exceptions. This next one genuinely surprises people. Number 10. Taking sleeping pills at altitude. You've got a long red eye ahead. You want to sleep through it. Here's something the airlines will never put in a boarding announcement. Common over-the-counter sleep aids, Benadryl, Tylenol PM, Unisom, work very differently at 35,000 feet than they do at home. Thinner cabin oxygen amplifies the sedation. You sleep deeper than you intended. And on a senior body, that combination can leave you groggy for hours after landing. Linda, 71, a retired librarian from Sacramento, took 2 Benadryl before a flight to Frankfurt. She slept through the entire flight, which sounds great, until she landed and couldn't remember where she was for the first 6 hours of her trip. Her whole first day in Germany, gone. Your defense, skip sedating medication on flights over 4 hours. Use melatonin 1 to 3 milligrams instead. It works with altitude, not against it. Tell the flight attendant if you've taken anything that makes you drowsy. Magic phrase, I've taken sleep medication. Please check on me during meal service. The next one might be the simplest mistake on this entire list. Number 9, ignoring the window shade. You've got the window seat. You pull the shade down to sleep. Smart move, right? Not always. UV radiation at cruising altitude is roughly twice as strong as at ground level. Aircraft windows block some of it. Most of it gets through. And on a daytime flight where you're seated next to that window for 6 to 10 hours, You're getting the equivalent of a full afternoon at the beach without realizing you ever stepped outside. Robert, 69, a retired accountant from Atlanta, flew window seat between Atlanta and Tokyo 3 times in 1 year. By the end of that year, his dermatologist noticed sun damage on the left side of his face, the side that faced the window. Every time. Your defense. Apply SPF 30 to your face and hands before boarding any daytime flight. Reapply every 2 hours during waking flight time. Pull the shade down on flights over 4 hours during daylight. Wear UV blocking sunglasses if you sleep with the shade open. Here's where most seniors get completely caught off guard. Number 8. Eating the airplane meal on schedule. The cart rolls down the aisle. You take the tray. You eat. That right there is the trap. Airlines time meal service for crew efficiency, not your body. On a flight from New York to Rome, dinner gets served at 10 p.m. Eastern. Your stomach is on Eastern time. Your body is being asked to digest a heavy meal right before a sleep cycle. At altitude, where digestion already slows down because blood flow shifts away from the gut. The result? Bloating, reflux that wakes you up, and for seniors on heart medication, a slowdown that affects how your pills absorb. Patricia, 70, a retired teacher from Portland, ate the full pasta dinner on a flight to Madrid. She spent the next 5 hours uncomfortable, fighting reflux, unable to sleep. She landed exhausted and lost the first day of her vacation to a nap. Your defense. Eat a small meal at the airport before boarding, then skip the in-flight tray. If you must eat on board, choose the lightest option: fruit, salad, plain bread. Avoid all carbonated drinks at altitude. They expand your stomach by up to 25%. Take heart and blood pressure pills with the airport meal, not the flight tray. That mistake costs you a day. The next one almost everyone gets wrong. Quick question. Have you ever landed feeling worse than when you took off? Most travelers blame jet lag. The truth is, it's almost always one of these 12 small habits. If this is helping you, hit subscribe so you don't miss the in-flight comfort guide I'm sharing next week. The second half is where the small changes start adding up to a completely different kind of flight. Number 7. Refusing water from the flight attendant. You don't want to bother the crew. You don't want to use the bathroom. So when they offer water on the second pass, you wave them off. Here's something flight attendants will not say out loud. They actually want you to drink. They've been trained to spot the signs of dehydration in older passengers. A little wobbly walking down the aisle, a little slow answering. When that happens, the crew has to start paying closer attention to you for the rest of the flight. They're not being polite when they push water. They're keeping the cabin calm. George, 73, a retired postal worker from Philadelphia, refused water for 6 hours on a flight to Dublin. He stood up to deplane and felt the floor tilt underneath him. He spent the first afternoon of his vacation in his hotel room recovering instead of walking the city. Your defense. Accept water every single time the cart passes. Even if you're not thirsty, bring a refillable bottle and ask the galley to fill it after security. Eat water-rich foods on the plane. Orange slices, cucumber, grapes. This next one isn't about your body. It's about something you carry with you. Number 6. Using in-flight Wi-Fi for anything important. You're bored at 35,000 feet. You log into the in-flight Wi-Fi. You check your bank account. You just handed your password to a stranger. In-flight Wi-Fi networks are unsecured by design. They have to be to support hundreds of devices on a moving aircraft. Anyone on that flight with the right software can quietly watch what flows across that network. Cybersecurity researchers have demonstrated this dozens of times. Banking logins, email passwords, credit card numbers, all of it readable from 2 rows away. Seniors are the highest value passengers on any long-haul flight because their accounts hold the most savings. That's not paranoia. That's why this matters. Margaret, 67, a retired nurse from Houston, logged into her bank on a flight to Cancun just to check her vacation budget. By the time she landed, the account had been emptied. Your defense. Never log into banking, email, or shopping accounts on in-flight Wi-Fi. Use airplane mode and download entertainment before you board. If you must check something, use a paid VPN service activated before takeoff. This next one passengers actually fight the crew about. Number 5. Asking for extra blankets. The cabin gets cold. You ask the flight attendant for another blanket. The flight attendant will hand one over. They'll also know exactly what they're handing you. On most major airlines, blankets are not washed between every flight. They're folded, repackaged, and placed back in the overhead bins. Crew members have reported the same blanket being recycled across 5 to 7 flights before going to laundry. That blanket has touched dozens of passengers, their skin, their germs, their pets. Helen, 74, a retired social worker from Minneapolis, wrapped herself in 2 blankets on a 9-hour flight to Honolulu. By day 3 of her vacation, she had a skin rash that took the rest of the trip to clear. The dermatologist traced it straight back to the cabin blankets. Your defense: pack a lightweight travel blanket in your carry-on, wash it after every trip. Wear layers you can add and remove instead of relying on cabin blankets. If you must use a provided blanket, keep it between you and the seat, never on bare skin. Magic phrase: I'd prefer a sealed blanket. Do you have any in the galley? This next one is the position almost every passenger sits in without thinking. Number 4. Crossing your legs. It feels comfortable. It saves space. Almost everyone does it. Crossing your legs at the knee for more than 30 minutes cuts blood flow through the upper leg by close to 40%. On the ground, your body adjusts. In the air, where circulation is already moving slower, that simple position multiplies the effect. Doctors who specialize in aviation comfort call this the elegant habit because it's the one position passengers refuse to break, even after being told. Susan, 70, a retired bank manager from Charlotte, kept her legs crossed throughout an 11-hour flight to Sydney. She landed with a deep ache in her right thigh that took 2 weeks of physical therapy to resolve. She said the worst part was that she'd done it on every long flight for 30 years and never connected the dots. Your defense: keep both feet flat on the floor for the entire flight. Cross at the ankle instead of the knee if you need a position change. Do ankle circles every 20 minutes, 10 in each direction. Stand up and stretch every hour without fail. The next one, most seniors stop paying attention to after their first few flights. Number 3, tuning out the safety demonstration. The safety video starts. You've seen it 100 times. You tune out. That habit is fine on flight 1. By flight 100, it's leaving you completely unprepared for the one moment that matters. Here's the part nobody pays attention to. Every aircraft model has a slightly different mask system, a slightly different exit row layout, and a slightly different brace position. Frequent flyers who tune out are often the slowest to react when something unusual happens because they're operating from memory of a different aircraft. David, 68, a retired engineer from Boise, told this story himself. He boarded a flight he'd taken dozens of times. Different aircraft type that day? When the cabin had a minor pressure issue, he reached for the mask compartment in the wrong place. A flight attendant had to walk him through it. He felt foolish for a week. Your defense: watch the safety demonstration on every single flight, even your 100th. Locate your mask compartment with your eyes before takeoff. Count the rows to your nearest exit, front and back. Put your own mask on before helping anyone else, even your spouse. The next one is the habit pride keeps in place, and it's the one that costs seniors the most. Number 2, staying quiet when something feels off. A little chest tightness, a bit of dizziness, a headache out of nowhere. At home, you'd mention it to your spouse. On a plane, you tell yourself it's just travel. Here's what flight crews wish more passengers understood. They are not annoyed when you press the call button. They are trained for exactly this. The earlier they know something feels off, the easier the situation is to handle calmly, and the more likely you are to enjoy your trip when you land. Frank, 73, a retired contractor from Tampa, felt a little off 3 hours into a flight to Dublin. He didn't say anything because he didn't want to worry his wife or make a fuss. He spent the rest of the flight uncomfortable, the landing exhausted, and the first 2 days of his trip in bed instead of out exploring. Your defense: press the call button the moment you feel anything unusual. Never wait. Tell the flight attendant your medications and any conditions. Carry a printed list of your prescriptions in your wallet, not just your phone. Magic phrase, "I'm not feeling quite right. Could you check on me in a few minutes?" And now the one flight attendants quietly wish every passenger over 60 understood before boarding. Number 1. Letting time zones break your medication schedule. You're crossing time zones before you even land. Your usual 8 a.m. pill becomes your 2 a.m. pill. So you skip it. You'll catch up tomorrow. That single decision throws more senior travelers off for their entire vacation than any other habit on this list. Heart medications, blood thinners, blood pressure pills, diabetes pills. These work because your body keeps a steady level of them in your blood. Skip a dose at altitude, where your body is already a little stressed by the flight, and you can spend the next 48 hours feeling completely off, when the trip you saved a year for is finally happening. Mary, 71, a retired teacher from Denver, skipped her morning blood pressure pill on a flight to Italy because she didn't want to wake up to take it. She spent the first 3 days of her Italy trip dizzy, foggy, and exhausted. Not the Italy she'd been dreaming about for 2 years. Your defense. Stay on your home time zone medication schedule for the entire flight. Set phone alarms for every dose before you board. Carry a 3-day supply of every medication in your carry-on. Never the checked bag. Tell the flight attendant which medications you're taking and when. You now know the 12 in-flight mistakes seniors wish they'd known sooner. But here's the part most seniors never see coming. The real difference doesn't happen on the plane. It happens in the first 6 hours after you land. There's one specific drink that resets your body clock in about 90 minutes, and almost nobody knows about it. That's exactly what I'm sharing next. It's on the screen right now. See you there.